Back in a flash, and we are back. It is time for more junior collegiate Overwatch action for the NJCAA, brought to you by Esports U. If you are just joining us, where have you been? But more importantly, my name is Warren Jungle Guide Hammond. I'm sitting right next to Relic in the casting booth, but across the pond as well. So close in the digital sense, but not in the physical. But we've got another exciting match coming up for us here. Relic, Harrisburg Area Community College going up against Hocking. Now, no playoff implications here today. Both have, unfortunately, for their teams been eliminated. But I really like what I've seen from both of these teams so far this season. They're setting at a positive record, both of them. So lots of good stuff.
Yeah, it's a really close group, to be fair to them, and it's a difficult scenario where they're already out. But look, this is where chaos reigns, Juggle. This is where chaos reigns, where nothing matters, just the games in front of you. And for me, I'm looking at Hocking currently on 4-2, Harrisburg area on 3-3. Harrisburg knows that they can drag Hocking down to their level, and when pride is on the line, I mean that sometimes makes the most entertaining of series. I certainly think that it's going to be a lot closer than the series that we just watched, where Northern Virginia unfortunately 3-0 swept Finger Lakes. But we're into Nepal once again. It is our standing first map of this week. And hopefully we will have a closer affair than we did a few minutes ago, looking at the early comps. Nice to see Hocking coming out with a double shield already. Got Zenyatta as well. Nice pick. We saw Moira have a lot of love, a lot of good praise through Charlantis. Lovely to talk with him before the break. Good to see a Hanzo out and about, and great to see the Reinhardt and Jelly Squid Moira combo coming out as well. Underrated for me. That shield, when you got a Reinhardt, is one of the best frontline offenses, especially if you can get stuck onto points so difficult to break through. And with that Moira ult, can be absolutely devastating in combination.
It certainly can be. Going to be Moira on both sides. Harrisburg Area Community College with the Lucio instead of the Zen. And right now, the Zen appears to be doing a little bit more work, as that Discord Orb really made life hard for the Gene. So hard, as a matter of fact, that they decided to shrug off that Mortal Coil and take a trip back to spawn. That's going to be Hocking coming away with the first fight win. They're going to be able to pick off Slayer as well, who got caught out in an unfortunate position. Ooh. And with that, Harrisburg area is going to go back to spawn, regroup, and try again.
Big plays from Vondel, especially when you're going up against a Zarya. You're looking at your Zen to basically be that backbreaker, of course. The orb of negativity. The orb of staying inside in a pandemic, you could call it. You want to be utilizing that as well as you can. And now that we've got the high ground as Hocking, interesting that they're staying right above the point as opposed to off to the side, which is what we saw more from Northern Virginia. They're starting to pave that at first, but on transition down into the point, yes, they might have lost it, but the picks are coming through nice and clean.
Yeah, that was a beautiful rotation coming out from Hocking. You know, I thought that, you know, personally, I thought that it was a little bit of a mistake for them to get so close to this Brawl composition with a poke composition, right? Taking that high ground, moving in very close, and then dropping. That's typically what you see coming from a Brawl composition when moving into a poke composition. But Hocking was able to make it work, and it could have been partially just the surprise factor of seeing an Orisa in your face. Of course, with a Fortify makes things easier. Looking into this next fight, Hocking has quite the ult bank, and I expect them to use it very quickly.
It's all about how quickly they want to use it. In comes the beats, in comes the shielding, down goes the Moira, down goes the Soldier. Good push here from Harrisburg area, as down goes Hanzo, down goes Zenyatta. They're saving those ults, Juggle, which is an interesting call. They're up to near enough 60% for Harrisburg area back in control of the point.
And look at what happened to Hocking in that fight. Ooh. 4 ultimates they expended, and they lost, right? Yeah. Whereas Harrisburg area wasn't even coming in with any, I don't think, and I believe they won that on a dry fight as well. Robot Wizard swapping over to the Reinhardt too. Wholesale swap and approach to this point, but the backline is going to be very weak. It's going to be quick picks that Hocking has to get here.
there, and Vondel switching over to the Lucio as well. Here I was complimenting his Zen, and he's decided to switch it up. So you've got to praise Hocking for their proactivity, but you don't necessarily want to change too many ingredients in the broth. It seems to be working out quite nicely as Mikey and Slayer both go down. Big picks coming out for Pridem as the Jean and Goldilocks goes down, Jelly Squid goes down, and Hocking's surely going to retake point.
Yeah, an excellent recognition, I think, from Hocking that their composition wasn't working anymore. Harrisburg area had swapped over to something else, and so Hocking decided to go for the brawl, right? Now that there wasn't going to be a brawl v brawl here. Now we see Harrisburg area going over to this bulldozer composition with the Reinhardt, Winston, Slayer going to have this Primal Rage online. I'm going to be looking to them to be the staying power on point while the picks come from Mikey, potentially with the tack license.
Look at this Extremity as well, going for the Reaper. Slayer goes down via the High Noon. Down goes the Sheen, down goes Extremity. Reaper or no Reaper, doesn't matter, he's gone anyway. And this is a great defense coming through from Hocking overall. This change-up, it was nice to see Harrisburg counter the changes with changes of their own, but whereas Hocking's changes worked beautifully, Harrisburg area have stalled horribly, and that is going to be a win, a W in the column of Hocking. They take the first sub-map.
They do indeed take the first sub-map, but it wasn't without effort. 100-67 going to be the final score line for Village. And, you know, we talked at the beginning of our first match today how control point maps are a little bit of a sampler platter, right? You can see, you know, a lot of what these teams are running when we move on to different sub-maps. Well, guess what, Relic? We actually saw, I think, 6 different compositions there on Village alone. So we've gotten to see that both of these teams are very flexible, and I think that flexibility is going to serve them very well, even better, as a matter of fact, as we move on to Shrine.
I mean, you can tell that neither of these teams have anything really to play for apart from how many W's that column is going to be filled with at the end of the season, because they're not afraid to try new things. And for us as casters, it's chaos, but it's wonderful chaos because these two teams are willing to try something new and ultimately looking towards next semester, right? Next season.
Yes.
If you find something that works, then why not discover it now and run with it? Harrisburg area going back onto that Zarya pump, taking down Reinhardt immediately, taking down Reaper immediately, and looking to secure point early.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to do that relatively easily. Slayer builds up a Shatter in tremendously quick time. That's going to lay down the final blow, and with that, Harrisburg Area Community College takes the first fight win.
Will we see the hamster ball? I mean, listen, with the amount of changes that we've seen, I would be very surprised if we don't see the hamster ball. But actually, going a bit against the grain here, Hocking staying with their similar comp here and knocking on the door immediately. But look how quickly those health bars are diminishing. Harrisburg area has set up the stall, and they're not giving it to nobody. The Jean, though, that's a big pick to get for Hocking here, as down goes the Jean. Slayer still holding in there, and Lucio he's forced into that ult juggle. I'm not surprised.
No, he comes in just in time, but not quick enough to save Slayer. And now that this photon beam from Seismic is burning, there's nothing left that Hack can do. They take a trip back to spawn, and Hocking will get their first possession.
As well, you look at the building, you're thinking, oh, this is lovely, and all of a sudden you have 3 turrets attacking you. Not surprised that Seismic has gone into the Symmetra, got ult ready as well, as do Sully, Vondel, and T-Bone. Again, very similar to Submap 1, actually, Juggle. They have that ult bank ready and willing to go. Harrisburg themselves do have 3 ults, a bit more aggressive with Extremity. There comes the Symmetra ult. Let's see what they can do with it. Oh. And apparently,
I'm so sorry. My sound was muted. Apologies.
I thought we were just taking in the gameplay.
Kills. No tanks left on the board for Harrisburg, and Hocking will take this first fight, or this third fight rather.
I mean, to be fair, it was very beautiful gameplay. I mean, it had us all in awe, and it's, you know, that's lovely when it comes through, right? But
yeah, it was
we see Krydom. Is Krydom going to come through with this? I mean, oh, yep, here it comes. Oh, he's off my word. He's picked off by the Sully ult. I think, no, it's Cassidy, although Cassidy's down now as well. Hocking through all of this, by the way, has still been able to continue that point crush hold, and Jelly Squid
says,
not looking where he's walking. Yeah. So
Uh,
one last push potentially for Harrisburg area, but Hocking, again, as this map goes on, looking better and better. They are looking a lot more comfortable with their comp.
They are now Harrisburg area. They have a win condition on the board. On paper, this should be their fight to take, but the Gene must make sure that this Graviton Surge does not get eaten by Sully. I'm going to look for them to try and demech that Diva as quick as they can. We're going to see the Photon Barrier committed early on. That's going to be Krydom out of the fight early. Robot Wizard gets done, goes down to about half health. The Gene does land the Graviton Surge, and with that, the pick start coming in favor of Harrisburg. Overtime has been committed, but Hack should be able to finish off this fight. They've just got a couple more players. Tully's still in their mech, but not for long. They're going to be removed from it post-haste. And with that, Harrisburg area will remain alive and take this fight win.
I was worried that that fight was going to be just going on a little bit too long as Hocking was threatening to respawn. Seismic actually going from off Symmetra onto the Doomfist. We've got to watch out for Robot Wizard and Sully, both tanks with their ults. Of course, we look at Harrisburg. There is a reply Reinhardt ult. Got to watch out for that visor from Soldier. We've got Jelly Squid, of course, with the Moira beam. Big moment here as Harrisburg have their first big defense of the map.
We're going to see Vondel go down early. Seismic isn't going to be long for this world as well. The Coalescence finding them out. Now, T-Bone going to try and strike back with a Coalescence of their own. Finds one pick. The Reback gets a kill. Robot Wizard continuing to try and push forward. Extremity going to find their demise. Robot Wizard going back to spawn as well. Vondel going to commit the Stab Barrier to see if they can just take this fight and push it through the victory. The Tac Visor does find the Gene. That is huge. Without that bubble, without that extra Zarya damage, things are going to be a lot more difficult for Harrisburg. Can anybody even touch? Beautiful. They won't, and Hocking will take the first map.
Very tense last couple of fights there. First for Harrisburg to actually get onto point and find that control. Hocking again, similar sort of criticism could be levied their way. The fight taking a little bit too long. But ultimately, that Reinhardt for me, Slayer, really at the center of everything, and you pointed it out brilliantly, Juggle. That Zarya pick, that was the backbreak for Harrisburg, sadly. Once Zarya goes down, you're in big trouble, and especially with the Lucio ult that came through, ultimately that offensive finding great success. They were able to push everyone off the point, maybe not getting the picks, but the pushing was just about enough to be able to retake, and they were so close to the finishing line. There's no surprise that ultimately they were able to take it. Although nice battles overall. I think I wouldn't have been surprised if it did go to a third sub map, you know, a decider map. And ultimately, I'm a little bit more hopeful that this one's going to go further than 3 maps than I was with Northern Virginia earlier.
Yeah, I think this absolutely has that potential. And you know, I think we saw great things coming out from both sides. And one of the big things that was honestly is like a breath of fresh air to see, right?
Yes.
Because you don't see it all the time at this level. Was adaptability, comp swips coming out, you know, very proactively, right? And the Overwatch is a game about adaptation, right? And so seeing that from both of these squads, it just warms my heart, you know, and I love to see it because, you know, and not only does it show, I think, a heightened understanding of the game, but let's be honest, it just makes it more interesting to see.
It really does. And it's two schools of mentality, right? You got one school where it's like you're confident in your comp, and although it might not be working at the moment, maybe it just needs that one team fight to go your way to actually see it thrive and to see it bring fruit, or to see it bear fruit, I should say, not bring fruit, although they should bring plenty of ammunition to the fight, right? This is a very different style of situation where, again, whatever the teams are thinking in regards to this adaptability, ultimately you can change a fight, but you're also giving up, in the worst of situations, alt charge. You might be destabilizing the team a little bit too much. You have got to have a wide breadth of knowledge when it comes to characters, picks, their alts, how to use them. And
Yeah.
I know it's a classic, like maybe jack of all trades, but master of none scenario. But if you can find the right key to metaphorically open the door, then yeah, you know, you can find some success with it. But I think it's better for control points where, well, I'd say actually wrong way around. I'd say it's probably least effective on control point maps because they are such fast maps. Whereas when we look at more defense, offense style maps. You've got your hybrid, your escorts, your assaults. I think it's actually going to work a little bit better here because there's a bit more time to think about what you're going to do, size up the situation. Are my team struggling to even move the convoy at this point? Are my team struggling to capture a point? I'm interested to see how things progress, or whether it's just going to make me look like a fool and they don't change ever again. I'd be very sad if they do.
No, I think we're going to see a lot more adaptation coming in. And the locale we will be seeing that is none other than Kings Row, the most classic map in Overwatch.
It's my hometown.
In your own town, exactly. That's right. I'm really going to be excited to, have you take us on a tour through it. It's going to be Harrisburg Area Community College deciding, instead of opting for defense, which is typical, they're going to go on attack this time around. So to me, that signals that they want to take control of the tempo of this match, right? They want to turn this around in the face of Hocking and try and come back with a vengeance on this map. So I'm excited to see, you always love to see Kings Row, right? But I am especially excited to see it because Hack decided to go on attack. What have they got in store for us here, Relic? That's my question.
I mean, whack out the snipers, right? That's the early call. Is we are going to see the Ash at the very least, but no sign of Widow, no sign of Ana. Again, the Zarya coming through, the Reinhardt coming through on this one, Extremity sticking on the Reaper. So to me, this looks like a get in early and really enact this idea of a game plan, which is, literally dive in, throw your enemy off balance. All it takes is 1 point to completely collapse, and you could see confidence question within Hocking already. Sully losing a bit of, boy, is he sitting on the fire in there or something? I don't know exactly what's going on, but this first minute for Harrisburg area is going to be so crucial, Juggle. If this doesn't work off, if this is drawn out into a 2.5 minute affair, then I'm not exactly sure that the ploy's played off.
Yeah, a lot is going to be determined here in this first fight. You're absolutely right, and so far it is going hand over fist in favor of Hocking. 2 picks very early on. The rotation from Harrisburg left their backline exposed just a little bit, and this poke and pick composition did exactly what it is designed to do. The pick still coming in favor of Hocking. Immortality Field has to be committed, but not much going to be done by Hack this time around, and already we're seeing some swaps in composition in spawn.
It's starting to go from changes of tactical genius to perhaps changes of desperation, almost like throwing a dart at a board and seeing whether the pick that you end up with works. Going on to the Tracer, the hometown hero, of course. The pro Genji already losing so much health. Hocking have set up their defensive stalls, and they do not look uncomfortable whatsoever. Running the double shield Mater with a bit of maneuverability. In comes the Winston, looking to try and disrupt that defensive backline, but to no avail. He's able to get out of there, but it's more of a scare tactic than everything. Again, Goldilocks going down. Cannot stay alive, Lucio. Down goes Winston. Tracer not even part of the question. Down goes D.Va, and again, Harrisburg area thrown to the wind.
I have to admit, though, I like this composition swap that Harrisburg made, right? They recognized that they were potentially going to have a hard time closing that distance on the poke composition, right? So they say, let's make distance not an issue, and they go over to the dive. Now, given that they had a wholesale compositional swap, not too surprising that they lose this second fight. That also gives them an opportunity to start to build up their ultimates. They have the Coalescence. I'm looking at this to be big, but Hocking has 5 ultimates moving into this next fight, and they've already popped the Supercharger.
Are we going to see a pick on Hanzo? Potentially. He's low, but is he low enough? Up goes the battery shield. Slayer, again, immediately out of the picture. There goes a lot of your tankiness. Again, Lucio cannot stay alive, no pun intended, to save his life. And that's a real worry, because we saw a similar story with Northern Virginia versus Finger Lakes. Those supports are so integral to any sort of offensive push. And if you are a good defense, you look at those supports and you try and figure out, how do I isolate them best? Well, boy, oh boy, are they being isolated. Maybe a bit of frustration coming into Slayer. I know he's trying to play Disruption. I know he's trying to play Scare Tactics, but Hocking are not. then they're not suckered in by the bait. I mean, this is just great play overall. Another big dive coming in from Harrisburg. They have got ults potentially to use. Are there going to be any picks, though? I still don't see any Hocking player close to death. Sully, maybe, but Mickey down, Slayer down, Skelly down, Locks down. It is rough for Harrisburg, and the worst is coming to pass. 45 seconds left.
Yeah, that was a fight that Harrisburg really needed to have go their way in some way, shape, or form. But they use the Coalescence. They don't find value with it. Mikey does have the blade now, but without a nano behind him, it's going to be up to Jelly Squid to damage boost this blade to really make it sting. Hocking doesn't have any ults on the board yet, so Harrisburg, with these waning seconds on this first map, on this first point, have an opportunity to come back in this, but Mikey desperately needs to win this duel or pop the blade very, very soon. Here it comes. Hocking down 3 members. Harrisburg area striking with a vengeance. They get the picks they need. Mikey finds value with the blade, and with that, Harrisburg area Community College will start to see the streets of London in King's Row.
Okay, but Hocking is still around and lurking. Finally, the capture is going to come through. Oh, that was much needed. And really, Mickey doing a lot of the heavy lifting, distracting Seismic long enough. He had to pop an ult to win that 1v1 juggle. It came at a big cost. But at least they've actually captured the point. They've given themselves something to work with on defense, even if their campaign goes no further on this occasion. Still got the Skelly ult potentially in reserve to try and move a little bit further forward. But look at that Hocking ult bank. They've got so much ammunition to use, and it will take one mistake from Harrisburg area to completely collapse the push.
Yeah, it certainly will. But right now, Harrisburg area seems to be making the right choices. You know, one of the crucial things I think about that last fight was that, you know, like you said, Mikey dueled Seismic. And even though Mikey didn't come away with any picks, via that Dragon Blade, they kept Seismic tied up. And that, I think, is going to be the win condition for Harrisburg moving forward. Couple of picks in favor of Hocking, but Seismic is out of the fight, which once again is absolutely crucial. Player going down low, though, in this primal race. We hear the Bob committed as well from Extremity. Sully pops the Gravitic Flux to see if they can try to stymie some of this push coming out from Harrisburg, but right now, Harrisburg really appears to be finding their footing, especially after they pop this amplification matrix as well. T-Bone not going to opt to use their own, but instead just back up. Mikey out of the fight, though. This is an opportunity for Hocking to come back into it.
Underrated change from Goldilocks onto the Baptiste, and he's helped them move forward just a little bit, but now we're in the rough choke point area. If you want success here, kind of got to go through it the first time of asking, otherwise you're looking for a mistake from Hocking. Extremity down, Skelly still up and about. We've got to watch out for that Crydom and Robot Wizard ult. Of course, Mikey got his ult back now as well, and we know that he used it to very decent effect to secure the first objective for Harrisburg area, but Skelly and Slayer both down. There's the Crydom ult coming through. Goldilocks down, Jelly Squid down. Mikey in Extremity forced to retreat. Is the payload stopping here?
Yeah, and that was an excellent retake coming in from Hocking. I mean, they did it very economically as well. Crydom used their ult, T-Bone used theirs, Sully used theirs, but Hocking still has 3 left to go in this next fight. Push crucially, I think, the supercharger, which can be used to build up the rest of the ults. On the side of Harrisburg, though, Mikey once again has this blade, but that's all. So if they're going to push forward and win this fight, this blade is going to have to be absolutely massive.
Through goes the Dragon, covers up the first corridor of action. Here's Mikey lurking, waiting for that moment. He chooses now. He's going to pick off maybe one. No, I think he got Seismic in the end eventually, but look at Skelly. Down, out. They've not really got that sort of momentum. They're still in the chokehold. Overtime is here. Not looking good. Both support ultimates coming out. Slayer trying to push them forward as best they can, but still Hocking stand true. I feel this is going to go the way of Hocking.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way, but Slayer still has an opportunity. They did get healed back up. Both immortality heals have been used, and crucially, Harrisburg was able to get their reinforcements. Hocking not getting the picks as quick as they need, but now they're starting to come in as Mikey is out of the fight. Goldilocks gone as well. That amplification matrix working overtime for Hocking. Here's the grab, the Sig-9 for Hocking to end the round.
Really smart play from Sully there, just saving it, saving it, saving it. Saw the opportunity to pick everyone up. Kills the game off there. 89.81 meters to go. This isn't a Northern Virginia sort of situation, Juggle. I'm not looking at this as an easy win necessarily for Hocking. Harrisburg did so well when their backs were up against the wall. Clutch time, they managed to get that point. They managed to push it a far way out. And now they've got to take inspiration from Hocking. They held them back at that control point for 2.5, almost a 3-minute counter. These initial picks on defense are going to be crucial. They cannot make the mistakes that they made at the beginning of their attack phase. Let's see what they come out with. They come out with the Reinhardt. They come out with the Zarya again. Goldilocks sticking on that piece. Not surprised at all. Heavy hitters in Reaper and Cole Cassidy. Jelly Squid ultimately opting for the Mercy. A bit of time spent thinking on that. And over on the Hocking side, again, very simple dive composition here with your D.Va. Nikita at least adding an extra bit of shielding. Swing to win. Pridem, Seismic. I mean, to be fair, I'm not surprised that Seismic is stuck on that Hanzo. He has been really solid, and it required his removal from the game for Harrisburg to find any sort of purchase into the enemy foothold. Let's see how the opening array of swings and shots and all sorts of things unfolds.
It's going to be very interesting. You know, my eyes are going to be on this Mikey Seismic duel once again. But another thing I'm going to be looking at is the backline of Hocking. Very, very light on the heals, but big on the util, big on the damage. And already Slayer out of the fight with no main tank. Harrisburg going to have to back up. They may, in fact, need to yield 1 to 2 ticks in order to get their main tank back in the fight. But now with Jelly Squid out as well, this could be over in very short order. Just going to be Goldilocks trying to keep the remaining members alive, but the overwhelming advantage in Hocking's favor, that's going to be this first point in short order.
So you know what I was saying about I don't think it's actually good. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what we saw from Northern Virginia earlier. Might be revising that point very soon. And look how deep they're willing to push into Harrisburg territory. Oh no, the disrespect almost picking off the Cassidy in Spawn. That is brutal from Seismic. Obviously not happy from his soloing out via Extremity and Mikey, of course.
Sully may have bit off a little bit more than they could chew, though, right there. They get a lot of space created via that self-destruct, but not as much as perhaps if they'd been able to stay in their mech. Seismic getting ready with this Dragon Strike. It could be huge. T-Bone also has the Rally. I'm anticipating that getting committed relatively soon as well. Robot comes in with the Shatter. Not going to find anything this time around, but Slayer is out of the fight. Now the Rally is committed, and with no main tank once again to stop this progression, it's going to be up to Jelly Squid and Mikey to try and find value with this Coalescence and Deadeye, but nothing to be had for it. Sully even still in their mech. Hocking with tremendous push coming out. Extremity on the flank, though. If they can find a huge Death Blossom here, they could really turn the favor back towards Harrisburg.
Man, I can absolutely... Oh, man. I was about to say I'm not entirely sure about Harrisburg staying on Moira, staying on Baptiste. Slayer clearly needs help. But Slayer actually all on his own. Bye-bye, Robot Wizard. You are going back to base. And all of that was born off the back of an excellently executed Extremity ult. Backbreaker for Hocking, and at last a bit of reprieve for Harrisburg.
Oh yeah, that was a great showing there from Extremity. You know, realizing that he has this opportunity to get into the back line of Hocking without anyone seeing him, and just laying waste to a couple of their players. Now Scully pushing forward with the rest of the members of Hocking. It's just Scully with the Graviton Surge. It does land, but is the damage going to be there in time? T-Bone is out of the fight. Extremity going to be good for another one player advantage to Harrisburg Area Community College, but look at how close the card got. They almost just letter numbered that relic. That was so close. Harrisburg area has to be thanking their lucky stars that somebody touched at the last moment. They do get this successful hold.
Not soccer, but I want to get VAR out. How close was that? Surely centimeters away from...
Right?
Fine. I mean, we could see it literally up on there. 89.24 up against 89.81. It was literally 60 centimeters away from game. And that is a big, big moment for Harrisburg area, who managed to, again, burn down some of the clock. These Hocking drives, they look dangerous every time. But on this occasion, of course, not really much in the way of ults to work with. Seismic unleashes his dueling dragons. Down goes Vondel, the flank coming through really well. Robot Wizard down as well, T-Bone down. Harrisburg area have lost Slayer, they've lost Skelly, their tanks are down. They gotta work from here on out, but they've done so well. Down goes Seismic and Extremity. Really coming to the forefront for me here on defense. Some massive picks, massive damage coming through. And when we look at Slayer, we look at Skelly, we're expecting the defense to be born off them, but the brutality, the power that Extremity is exuding here is enough to push the cart back another few centimeters or so.
Yeah, that was great play, and yeah, from both sides, especially Harrisburg, because Seismic did a beautiful job of splitting Skelly out and being with that Dragon Strike and giving it an easy pick. Here comes Extremity again from the backline. Are they going to find a similar success? Nobody knows they're there. They're good for one. That's Seismic. Woo! They're good for three. Harrisburg Area Community College with a tremendous defense here in King's Row. And now, you know what, Relic? Maybe you were right. This isn't going to be quite as easy to pair. We do have a couple of counter picks coming in from a remech kill. A pair of remechs from Sully, but it's not going to be enough to turn the tides.
Yeah, and ultimately, although Goldilocks was taken down, Hocking had suffered so many casualties that they have to start from square one again. Sully switching onto the Roadhog. Interesting. And if he can try and solo out Extremity here, who's the real problem. He's a real problem for Hocking right now.
Yeah.
His flanking has been supreme. His ult pulls have been excellent. Skelly's got an ult. Robot Wizard's got an ult. Seismic goes and takes out Skelly from the equation immediately. And again, Goldilocks has to be forced into an ult, but Slayer's down. Extremity just about surviving the Seismic ult, doing a bit of damage, and Extremity goes down, and Mikey goes down. That might be it, as Harrisburg area still try and stay alive. It's 3 versus 6. Jelly Squid goes 5-player kill streak as, wow, Hocking with that one last drive managed to find success at last.
Yeah, tremendous play coming out there from Hocking, and I honestly think it was on the back of capitalizing on a mistake from Harrisburg. Skelly just got a little too far forward on that Zarya, and you can't do that when you have the Graviton Surge. You have the win condition for your team, right? I'm not just talking about a win condition. I'm talking about the win condition in that fight. And them going down early forces out the sound barrier as well from that Lucio. And as soon as those shields dissipate, it was just a free swinging game for the members of Hocking. So they're going to be able to go up 2-0 now in this series over Harrisburg Area Community College. But this game, this series isn't over yet, Relic. Harrisburg area, I think they absolutely have what it takes to come back in this series, make a match of this, and maybe even take the reverse sweep.
Yeah, I think they're going to be kicking themselves on that first defense, which just crumbled.
Right.
I mean, we look at Hocking; they had so much time to get the payload to the point to win the map, you know, and that's going to be disappointing, certainly. But look, again, it's close. It's close enough to suggest that the right map pick, the right comp pick, and we're talking about a good series. But what Hocking is doing really well is they have different players coming to the forefront. And I wouldn't say carrying the team, but getting crucial picks when it's necessary. We look at Extremity there, for example. I mean, he was basically backpacking the entire team, but he was backpacking because of his good ult usage. You know, he was flanking, he wasn't really soloed well. And then you look, okay, well, this guy's playing well. He's popping off. How do we counter that? Well, we look at the next most important player. As you rightly pointed out, one mistake from the Zarya, one mistake going out a little bit too far, cancelled, and then Extremity's got far too much work to do. We have news of the third map.
That we do. We are once again going to be going to the cherry blossom strewn Japanese locale of Hanamura. From one classic map to another, from one brawl to another, Relic. This is I think this is a good place for Hack to try and post up and turn things around for themselves. they are once again also opting for attack. So curious, you know, given the choice of defense or attack first, they go for attack again, and I like this. You know, this aggression coming out from them, even in their map choice, or rather, even in their side choice.
Well, unlike the end of map 1, it feels like they've got a bit more momentum to work off. Because Hocking, they had, I mean, it was one mistake from Harrisburg. Aside from that, they were holding what was a really difficult moment. Well, yes, they had a choke point to work with, but given how quickly Hocking had worked their way to controlling the initial point there on King's Row, you know, there's the mentality side of the game to factor in here. And so Harrisburg starting off with the Zarya, with the Reinhardt, seems pretty simple to me. You've got your Arna, so they're not opting for the flank. They're looking for brute force through the middle here. Hocking, no surprise, again, going double shield, looking for that maneuverability. With your Sigma, Junkrat for the heavy damage. You've got quite nice picks from Seismic with Ash in the back, and this is a great early assault from Harrisburg. They've made their way into the little hut. They're moving through the side. No early picks as of yet, as the flank comes through from Mikey, looking to distract. This is a really good chokehold that Harrisburg are putting together here. Now can they at least push Hocking off the point, start to get some percentage on there?
We are going to see Robot Wizard start to move off point just a little bit. That's going to be their main goal, is to kind of stay away from point, layering damage from there. Slayer peeks their head on the point, and it is immediately removed. That's going to be a fast reset from Harrisburg Area Community College. But you know what? I really like their rotations coming into this. I think those were looking good. Now, another thing I want to mention about Harrisburg Area Hack is their overall strategy, right? I've been looking closely at the compositions that they put together each time, and they're very aggression-based, right? They're going with the Zarya instead of the Diva, right? They're going with the Moira instead of the Ana or the Baptiste. That to me says they want to push W and get these wins that way. And that's exactly what we see from this dive composition coming out now. Goldilocks going to be taken out of the fight early, though. That's going to be a big boon for Hocking, although many of their members are going down dangerously low.
You look at it, I mean, that's Extremity, Slayer, and Jean all switching out at the first sign of trouble. I think they've called that a little bit too early, because you're right, that initial drive was good. That was a really good idea from Harrisburg, and actually it's great credit to Hocking that they were able to rotate back into a decent defensible position to deal with that threat. Harrisburg immediately give up the ult charge. I see that they are sticking now with the same ideas, and so I'm guessing they've got plans with the Winston, perhaps with the Diva ult coming through. Now comes the Baptiste ult on the defense. Look at that ult bank for Hocking. They are vibing with 1 minute 40 left.
Oh, they absolutely are. You know, you could chastise maybe T-Bone for using that amplification matrix a little bit early, but when you've got 5 in the bank after that, there's not much that you have to worry about. Mikey out of the fight as well. That is a huge win condition just gone. The Nanoblade could have been the way to victory here, but there is going to be one pick in favor of Harrisburg, but that's as far as it's going to go, as Bob is committed from Seismic. And the silver lining of this, though, is that Hocking spent 4 ults.
Yes, and that is the one silver lining. Harrisburg, they got the Sword of Mikey ready to go. They've got the Big Monk, they got Slayer ready to go. They've got Goldilocks ready to go. So they've got all of the ammunition here ready to go for a good push. Hocking only with the Gravitic Flux and with the Amplification Matrix. Let's see whether this works out, because up goes. Oh, hello, Extremity down.
Yep.
Do more. There we go. T-Bone finally down. Are they able to get any more picks, though? Doesn't look that great from here.
No, it doesn't. Robot Wizard has expended that supercharger. That did a lot of extra damage to Harrisburg Area Community College. 20 seconds left to go. Hocking, they had to spend all of their ultimates, but they successfully staved off any attack from Harrisburg. And now, frankly, I'm not sure if anybody can touch.
10 seconds.
Yeah, they're done at the time. Well, I mean, unless they rush in now. But
Seismic. Oh, that was massive.
He hid around the window and oh, hello. Laura Pester has to be sent out of here. To be fair, we still have Harrisburg players on point, but you can see the dwindling health bars. You can see the dwindling numbers. This is going to be a very successful defense from Hocking. close, but not close enough juggle seems to be the story of this series.
That it does. Hocking just edging out Harrisburg every corner it seems that they come around, and I've got to call out Seismic again for some just incredibly heads up, big brain 9,000 IQ play. Right, he saw that there was 15 seconds left for Harrisburg area to try and touch point, and knew that there were probably going to be people staging to push through that choke as quickly as he can. So what does he do? He just flips around that corner, throws a dynamite. Three members of Harrisburg are on fire, and now they're scrambling, trying to figure out how to get heals. Do they push to point now? Everything got disrupted. Seismic has just been an absolute force on the side of Hocking. And, if they can keep enabling Seismic, then this could be over very, very shortly. I mean, all that Hocking has to do is get one tick on first point here of Hanamura. Now, Harrisburg has the composition, though, to keep them from doing just that. I like the double shield coming out. I feel like Harrisburg's comps have been a little disjointed as well. Similar comments I think I would make to them as I made last map about Finger Lake. But this time around, I like the composition they have. I think this could find a lot of success.
That said, I like the composition coming out from Hocking as well. So, I mean, you got the Roadhog, a real aggressive choice, and in about half the time, they've already made their way up into the house. They are not messing around, Hocking. They are looking to get this done within 30 seconds, although Sully already losing a lot of health. He's going to regain some of that back. Gonna watch out for T-Bone. He was the one picked off the most when Hocking was on defense. Harrisburg area, for me, I would like to see more emphasis on trying to take down Seismic, trying to take down Trident. They're in good form. Mikey goes down, picked off from the side into the central area. This is looking real good for Hocking. This is a great attack vector. They've pushed everyone out, and this is going to be game immediately.
Yeah, there's nothing left that Harrisburg Community College can do. Their members are falling like flies, and with that, Hocking takes a quick 3-0. They played that like they've got somewhere to be today, Relic.
Clearly, it's off Overwatch, it seems, and Seismic coming up with that, play of the game. Man, this was. If this is, oh no, okay, so this isn't the one where he's poking around and setting everyone on fire, but a great use of the ult.
It was right after that. It was right after that, actually.
It was right after this. He picked off the Moira, but a really nice use of voltage. Gosh, I mean, you know what? You gotta feel for Harrisburg area, right? You gotta feel for them because they got so close a number of times, but I do think that they're indecision on what comp was best to go with in the moment. I mean, there's being proactive, there's being reactive, and I think I said it on King's Row. There's just being a little bit desperate to find out what's the right way to go here. And a couple of times they did stumble upon it. They did find some joy. But you look at the other side of things, you look at Hocking, and all of their changes were very well considered. They didn't change half as much once we passed map number 1. It's because they were comfortable with what they were doing. They were comfortable with their game plan. And I feel like, again, it's going back to that mental game. They had faith that their systems would see them through. They did, even if it was a close shave a couple of times.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there is so much to be commended from Harrisburg Community College. Looking at, like I mentioned before, like some of the subtleties of their compositional picks, right? They were playing for very, very aggressive plays every single time. So, they were going for a feast and famine kind of approach. And unfortunately, this time they were left wanting for food. Hack has a great program. I know their coach, Coach Gedham. He is a fantastic person and a fantastic coach. So, I know that this program is in great hands and they're going to see some success moving forward. They've just got a little bit to clean up here and there, right? But Hocking today absolutely showed themselves to be top dog in this matchup. A 3-0 series for them leads to a quick victory and a little bit better standing in this tournament leading into next year. That's got to give them a little bit of a boost in their sale.
Yeah, 100%. And again, these past couple of matches, it's kind of, I make the analogy to soccer, to football, right? Where you don't really hear about the great goalkeepers, you hear about the great
Mhm.
strikers, and it's because the great
Yeah.
strikers are the one that score goals. Same thing here. You got your playmakers, you got your Crydom, you got your Seismic as well. You've got your FSM from earlier. If you work together as a team, you are not just enabling all of you to do better, you are enabling your damage dealer to come through, or your damage dealers in this case, to come through
Mhm.
and make those big plays when it matters. And really, that for me is the success to Overwatch. You know, it's all about, yes, the team game, but making sure that the people who can actually change the game for you are enabled to do that. So great work from the supports, great work from the tanks today, all of them across Northern Virginia and Hocking. I know that we didn't say your names as much, but trust me, I see you.
Absolutely. And we are going to see you after just a few short minutes. We're going to throw it to a break while we get an interview in from one of the members of Hawking. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Proving that science fiction and fantasy can coexist peacefully alongside each other, we have Robot Wizard in the booth with us. Thank you so much for coming in to answer a few questions for us, and congratulations on your victory today over HACC.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, this was a very good showing from you all. 3-0 going to be the final score line. Did you feel like you struggled at any point throughout the series? And if you did, what were the adjustments that you all had to make? I saw both teams playing very adaptably tonight, and so I really wanted to highlight that and hear from your perspective. What were the changes that you had to make? What were the adjustments that you had to make, even if they were minor, here and there throughout the series?
Yeah, absolutely. So there were a couple switch ups we had to make. You saw us running the Lucio Zen or Lucio Brig on the kind of rush down comp, and that was one we didn't expect to run coming into this. We expected to run that double shield and just kind of pick them apart from a distance. But as we started playing a couple of those, those maps, we realized like, okay, we can get on top of them and really do some work. And so that's in the direction we ended up deciding to take it.
I mean, you talk about picking off from a distance. That's exactly what you did on Kings Row on defense, especially a brilliant defense for the first ever. But then, of course, on offense, you bulldoze them early doors, but you really struggle in that second phase, getting so close to winning, yet coming so far, expending a lot of time eventually getting there. Do you think that was, I wouldn't necessarily say a turning point because, of course, the momentum was still with you from the earlier map, but do you think that could have been a real moment where Harrisburg area could have swung the series in their favor?
I mean, anything's possible, right? Absolutely. So, once we kept first point there, our plan was to go up and get some of the picks coming out of spawn, some of those staggers, and push them back even more. We just like playing that map really aggressively, pushing up as far as we can to deny them as much space as possible. But unfortunately, as you saw during the match, we actually got a little bit caught out there when we tried to do that. And we ended up getting staggered for a while and not being able to push past until the very end there.
You did an excellent job, though, coming through with the victory in the end. Adaptation we were talking about is the name of the game in Overwatch, and we absolutely saw that. You have to adapt not only in terms of the composition you're running, but also your play style. So kudos to you for, doing a great job with that. Now, wanted to ask a little bit about the esports program in general at Hocking. How have the other teams been performing?
We've been doing pretty well actually. So just this Tuesday, our six team won their last match of the kind of starting bunch, and they made playoffs. So we're really excited
Fabulous.
to see
Lovely.
that. Obviously, we're hoping to make it an Overwatch too, but that's definitely we're excited about.
Excellent. Well, good luck to you. Congratulations today on the win. And yeah, hope to see more success from you throughout this tournament. 2 weeks left to go. It is crunch time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
You bet.
Pleasure.
Well, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Relic, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to cast with you. First time in the booth together. Enjoyed every moment of it. And before we send things off to the next set of casters and into the next game, any final words for us?
Heroes never die, and neither does my optimism. I'm really pleased with what we saw today. Even though it was 2 sweeps, it was great to see both teams giving it everything. We saw one team rubber stamping their campaign. We saw another team, despite some close calls, being able to come out on top. It's what we love to see in Overwatch, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the season play out.
As am I. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in here today. That's going to do it for our junior collegiate Overwatch for the NJCAA. Once again, my name Warren Jungle God Hammond, joined on the mic by Relic. Be sure if you enjoyed us today to follow us on Twitter. That's going to do it for us now. GG's and see you next time.